What's up, guys? CJ Kid 1231 back again with another album review. Last time we did a Tribe Called Quest, People's Instinctive Travels and Paths of Rhythms, which came out in 1990. Now we're going to do the sophomore album review, which came out only a year later, in 1991, called The Low End Theory. Now, when talking about this album, in my personal opinion, I think it's actually better than the first one. And the reason why may be a lot of people's reasons, might feel the same. First of all, I want to say it's not only a step above, it's a flight of stairs above for several reasons. Number one, I would say, is that the sound of the album. The sound of the album, to me, if I feel like Tribe kind of like took their sound and made it sound a lot more similar to what East Coast hip hop was sounding like at the time, and even then that might be an understatement because that sound that they brought to it, like the whole Tribe sound, sounded different than anything that anybody in the East Coast was doing at the time as well. But what I'm saying is, when I say they brought it back to what the East Coast was sounding at the time, I mean like the BPM, the speed. Because if you listen to the first album, like we said in the last review, it was more so like, club mixed house party kind of influence. They were still in that whole native tongue late 80s, having fun, young teenage thing, you know what I mean? So for me, when you listen to, and for anybody, if you listen to this album, you'll find it's a lot more boom bap heavy, but with their own jazz influence spin on it, you know what I mean? So, I mean, at the end of the day, when you really digest this album, a couple of reasons why. Let's talk about the rapping first, why I think this is better than the last one. First off, Q-Tip stepped it way up. I mean, let's talk about the first track, Excursions. That track, the track that sets it off, amazing track. And then Phife Dawg, yeah, the guy that wasn't really on it that much on the last album. Like I said, in the last album, it really felt like a Q-Tip solo debut album because Phife wasn't really on it that much. Droby, who was no longer part of the group at this point, I think he left to do culinary arts and go to school for that. And then Ali is just like a DJ slash assistant producer, but nobody knew that at the time. At the time, everybody thought like everybody in Tribe had an input on the production because it said produced by a Tribe Called Quest. Back to what I was saying about Phife. The last album, he felt like a feature artist on the album. He didn't really feel like he was a part of the group per se, and that's not to, I'm not trying to disrespect or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, he was only on, what was it, Can I Kick It, Mr. Muhammad, Ham and Eggs, but he really wasn't on it that much, and I explained why in that video, so you can go ahead and watch that video for more explanation. But on this one, the fact that he starts off bugging out the way he did, holy shit. I mean, like, look, if you listen to hip-hop and you're my age and you listen to the hip-hop now and what bars are now, if you go back and listen to Bugging Out, I'm not gonna lie, you're probably gonna be like, what's so special about microphone check 1 2, like, what's so special about it? But I guess at that time, if you have to put yourself in that mind frame, which, like I said, if you're my age, you probably can't do. Again, I was born in '92, so I wasn't even around this album came out, so I can't put myself in the mind. But if you like do your history and go back, the fact that Phife came this hard, and not on just this song, and throughout the whole album. I mean, he even has a track called Butter, which is a solo Phife track, which is awesome too. One of my favorite joints off this album. Like, it was just a shock because no one knew Phife had these skills in him. Yeah, he was nice on the other songs on People's Instinctive Travels, but those were just a couple of songs that he was on. And again, it sounded like he was a feature artist. It didn't sound like he was really a part of the group. Again, I said it sounded like a Q-Tip solo debut album. This one, completely different. Q-Tip and Phife, like, they mesh and flow seamlessly together on this album. It's like they glide in and out of each other's rhymes. Like, he passes it to Phife catches it immediately. Like, I can't even really explain it better than that. It's more of a listening experience. You really have to listen to the album. Another thing I want to talk about is the sound of the album. Where the first one sounded mad club and house and hip hop like influence, this album was all jazz influenced. I mean, so much. I mean, with Ron Carter on the bass, I think Q-Tip even says it on the song. And then, I think Bob Power helped them out. Bob Power, I'm not going to go ahead into exposition onto who these people are because I'm not going to act like I knew everything. but these are just key people that I know that were very, very instrumental in the making of this album. I mean, that and the fact that Phife and Tip stepped it up lyrically, the production stepped up. I mean, what else you want to talk about? I mean, I guess we could go into the individual songs now. I mean, let's start with the singles first off. I mean, Check the Rhyme. To me, in my personal opinion, people could disagree with this, but again, this is just my personal opinion. I feel like Check the Rhyme is possibly the greatest Tribe song ever that they ever made in history. And I know that's a hard claim to try to claim or convince of people. I'm not trying to convince you guys of anything. I'm just saying, I guess it's a really hard argument just of the fact that Tribe has so many great songs to choose from to say which one is the best that they've ever made. So, I mean, there's that. Then you have Scenario. Everybody knows what Scenario did and what it has done for Busta Rhymes. I mean, I can't mention, I could talk about how the song is cool, for how Tribe and Leaders in the New School really came together to make that track, but to be 100% honest, the fact that Busta Rhymes has that iconic, timeless last verse, and the fact that even Busta Rhymes said that that verse kind of made his career, the fact that it gave us Busta Rhymes as we know him today, it makes this album that more so iconic in itself. And that's like Q-Tip chose him to go all and last. Q-Tip, from what Busta Rhymes said, I think at Phife's, the thing they did for him at, damn it, what was that called? At the Apollo, the thing that they did for Phife at the Apollo, like from when he passed away, I think Busta Rhymes was explaining to everybody, like, Tip made him go on last. Because, I don't know, I guess something that Tip saw in Busta Rhymes, like, he knew that he could pull it off and make the track what it needed to be. And ever since then, because of that track, we've gotten Busta Rhymes on Flavor in You remix and a bunch of stuff. Again, damn near birthed Busta Rhymes. So, I mean, there's that. That's just 2 tracks we touched on so far. And, like, there's no skippables on this. There's songs that aren't as, like, might not be as enjoyable to me, but I can still listen to it. Like, I mean, I know I said it about the Love Movement when I reviewed that album, like, I think it's a week ago, and I said there was no skips on that, and on other Tribe albums you might find skips. Well, I might have to eat my words because, you know, after revisiting this album in preparation for this review, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really want to hear Rap Promoter that much, but in reviewing for this album and listening to it, I've grown to appreciate the song more and actually liked it a little bit more than I initially did. So, you know, and then, yeah, speaking about Rap Promoter, the gems that they drop on this album too, like if you wanted to be a rapper, right, this would be a good album to listen to for the gems alone about the business. I mean, look, they talk about Rap Promoters, about how rap promoters are. Show business, of course, it's about how the show business is in the hip-hop industry, and about touring and how, on all the things you have to deal with while being an artist in hip-hop at the time, and maybe even still to this day. And the fact that, you know, again, it had Brand Nubian and Diamond D as features. And side note, at this point in time, Grand Puba wasn't on, he wasn't part of the group at this point in time. And another fun fact is, this song, Show Business, originally was a song called Georgie Porgy, in which Grand Puba is on, because this was when he was a part, before they broke up. That song they replaced with the song that, as you know now, is Show Business, because Georgie Porgy was very, very controversial because it went against, it was basically dissing gays and homosexuals and all that stuff. It was like a war record against them, per se. You know, and it's funny because when you listen to the song, I think, what is it, Space Program, on their latest offering, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, and how they really big those people up, and then you go back and listen to this, it's like a weird contrast. But, you know, I think it was done for the right reasons, you know, to replace that with Show Business. And besides, who doesn't love the track Show Business? I love that track. It's one of my favorite tracks, which is, we'll get into my favorites later. But yeah, there's that. And then what else? You got Butter. We already talked about what Phife did on that song. And I think that's about it, man. I mean, Vibes and Stuff. Yes, that actually has the same beat as, I forget which song on Cypress Hill's first album from 1991, which came out in the same year, which I actually wondered, I should have probably researched if Low End Theory and the first Cypress Hill album came out around the same time, because they both share that same beat. If you're in the comment section, you can go ahead and comment which song it is. The name of the Cypress Hill song, it escapes me right now. I mean, and then yeah, and as far as like information on the hip hop side of things, as far as the business goes, like think about this. If you say that you're a hip hop head, right? I want you to answer in the comment section what rule number 4080 is. Matter of fact, if you are a hip hop head and you haven't listened to this album, I'd have to question you on that at that point. But after all that's said and done, I think we could get into some of my favorite tracks now, because I think I touched on everything that I wanted to touch about on this album, and you know, time's running low on my phone, so damn. Excursions, Bugging Out, Butter, of course, Verses from the Abstract, one of my favorites, Show Business, Jesus, there's so many. Check the Rhyme, of course. If it's the greatest trap song of all time, of course I'm going to say Check the Rhyme. Scenario, Sky Pager, even things like What has its enjoyment factors. So, I mean, yeah, man, I could go ahead and be cliche and say the whole album, but again, there are some cuts that, even though enjoyable and probably not skippable, I don't enjoy as much as others. The tracks I just named are probably the ones I enjoy the most, and if I want to get my low-end fill, I'll go and play those songs. I could play the whole album, but I'd go back and play those songs if I want to hear songs off this album in particular. But again, Tribe is like a heavy rotation thing for me. So, I guess we rated the last album, right? I think we gave it a 4 out of 5. This is a 5 out of 5, honestly. I mean, the influence this album had on people like Pharrell, who he admits when he heard this, it sealed the deal for him as far as being a Tribe fan and noting their greatness. So Pharrell, Kanye West, I mean, really the first 3 Tribe albums really influenced all these people. Pharrell, Kanye West, The Roots, Jay Dilla, Outkast. I mean, you could arguably say Soulquarians, the whole, you know, there's just so many it would take. And if you want to talk about from this generation, I get Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Joey Badass, like anybody who is a respected hip-hop artist at any point in time after Tribe will tell you that Tribe influenced them. Like, it's one of the main, it's like your hip-hop influencer starter kit almost, damn near, along with Wu-Tang and all these other artists that came out at the time that were very influential. So yeah, man, Low End Theory, I think it was 13 minutes, man, so I'm gonna cut it short and here. The Low End Theory is a classic part of hip-hop, and you know what, fuck being a classic part of hip-hop, it's a classic part of music, okay? Music, not just hip-hop, music in general. And if you really want to listen to some good classic material, not just a classic hip-hop album, you should definitely listen to this album. And even if you come out not liking this album, at least you would have gotten to experience what so many other people experienced and got inspiration for to do that was great, that you might like from those artists. So at the end of the day, man, this is pretty much it. You know, I'm in the park right now. You know, I figured I'd do this out live instead of it cranked up in the room all the time. So, you know, at the end of the day, guys, that's it. The Low End Theory. The next album that we're going to review from Tribe, same story, but we'll get to that when the time comes. For now, CJ Kid 1231. I'm out. God bless you. Love you. Comment and like. Again, I need to earn your subscription, not just say subscribe. So if you want to subscribe, thank you. I salute you. But until then, guys, be safe, be at peace, and next time, Midnight Marauders. Peace.